friends, Kim here with Abundant Life Tarot. Welcome back to the channel. If you are one of my existing subscribers, I thank you. And if you are new, welcome. Welcome to one of my favorite series to do every year, which is to take a look at the decks I was really loving on in the year. And so in this video, we are talking about my top 10 mass market oracle decks that I used a lot in 2022. And of course, there may be some repeats from prior years. That happens. But there may be some new ones. We'll see. I like to be very authentic and honest about this list because I compile the list based on the data that I keep track of all the decks I used month over month. And so then I look to see which decks I used a lot during the month. And that's how I make this list. And I'm very honest about it because you may be inspired to purchase a new deck and you want to know that that deck is really delivering the goods. Or maybe you have one of the decks I mentioned in your collection and you are now like all inspired again to work with it. So yeah, you could probably find folks who are doing top 10 decks they purchased this year. I didn't purchase that many decks to warrant such a video. Maybe sometime in the future I will get to do that, but I would choose to do top 10 decks that I used, that I worked with throughout the year. So that's what we're doing in this series. All right, without further ado, let's get started. All right, so we're gonna start with one honorable mention, and that is the Sign of the Times Oracle by Crystal Banner. It's a Hay House deck. The reason why it's just an honorable mention and not full on the top 10 is simply because I got the deck in as part of like the Black Friday sale in Hay House. So it's brand spanking new to me. And I'm just still getting a chance to get to know it better. And yeah, but I love it so much. I really do. So far, so good with this deck, and I wouldn't be surprised if this deck shows up on my 2023, next year's top 10 mass market oracle decks. I wouldn't be surprised. Some people are like, oh, it's too pedestrian for them. It's too basic, you know, but I find that there's beauty in just seeing objects up close and just a focus on one or two things in a picture. You know what I mean? There's something magical that can happen in those spaces as well as detailed, like nuanced artwork. You can also find so much inside of yourself with these images. They kick off an intuitive hit in their own unique way. So I just recently recorded a flip through video for this deck, so it'll be coming up on the channel shortly. So yeah, it'll be coming up and you'll get a chance to see all the cards in all their little glory on that little video. All right, this is my one and only honorable mention. So we have number 10. Number 10 is the Spirit Animal Wisdom. It's a 50 card deck and guidebook by Katie Jane Wright, illustrated by Nikki Strange, and it is produced by octopususa.com. There is a UK website on here, but I purchased this on Amazon, so there's that. And some of you know I'm not a huge fan of all animal decks unless it has some key elements to it, and this deck actually had those key elements. I'll share those with you. So here's the card backs. Because I've already probably done a video on this deck, I won't do a full flip through for time's sake, but I just want to share with you some of these cards. I just love the artwork so much. I love that there's the element here associated with the card with dolphin. There's a sub keyword here, Atlantis, and then a little like meaning right here. And then of course there's a guidebook. There's a guidebook that goes into greater detail, and it even has crystal companions that goes with the particular card. I'm such a fan. Healing wisdom is surfacey. Stop and listen. Stop and listen. Butterfly, emerging. Take the leap of faith. This is the air symbol, right? Hair, strength. Take time to make clear decisions. Bring awareness and light to the situation. Earth. We have eagle, ancestral healing. So the key things that I need in an animal-based oracle deck is beautiful imagery, of course, as well as a solid explanation of what we're dealing with here. I'm not all into animal totems like that where I'm super knowledgeable, so I need some assistance. This deck delivers with that. And it has some unusual little creatures like the leaf cutter ant, army of life. This is the sub meaning. And then where are the sub keywords? Ask for help, seek support, you are not alone. I use this deck. Isn't that gorgeous? I used this deck during a live stream or two where I did readings for those who wanted readings, and it was to tap into your spiritual gifts. What were your spiritual gifts? And I used this deck, the Spirit Animal Wisdom, and then I coupled it with this deck, the Mediumship Training deck by John Holland and Lauren Rainbow. I don't know if I did a flip through. I might have. I'll have to see if I ever published it. But this deck with that deck just really was like so interesting to do all the readings. And I'll try to link, if I can remember, the live stream that I used this deck with, so you can get a feel for how it reads. So yeah, John Holland made this deck, and it's great. It's not your typical oracle, but yeah, I'll share later on what that means. Anyways, this is the Spirit Animal Wisdom Oracle, and like I said, it's one of the few animal decks that I really like. You have to be something special for me to like it. Like for me to want to have it in the collection. All right, that's number 10. Number 9. So I'm going to kind of cheat here. It's going to be 2 decks, but holding the position of number 9. And that is the Sacred Self-Care Oracle by Jill Pyle, also a Hay House Oracle deck. And then another Hay House deck is a 52-card deck, Self-Care Wisdom Cards by Cheryl Richardson, artwork by Joe Podmore. And I often use these decks in conjunction with maybe the, the Good Karma Tarot? Yes, I'd like to use that combo with these decks. But the Sacred Self-Care, I know for a fact I have done an unboxing. It has a guidebook, although you really could just read with what's on the cards. Here's the card backs. There is an indie version that has smaller size cards, but I mean, you can't beat the price with Hay House. And actually they've held up quite well, this deck. So there's that. Sync with the moon, deep breathing, music. Let's see what else, some of my favorites. I mean, they've got Build Strength, Spend Time with Animals, Burning Bowl Ritual. I love doing that. Another favorite thing, write a gratitude list, ground yourself, journal, clear your energy field. I think there's like a sex one in here, make an altar. Lots of things that, just little reminders to help you take care of yourself and to stay grounded and to restore your energy and to feel more connected and more happier. I like that. Health checkup, things like that. Watch a movie. Yay. Sing. I love singing. So there's that one. I love doing like little self-care readings for myself every now and then when I'm feeling like, what is it that I need right now? And I just pull out those cards. It's like a lovely boost. Self-care wisdom cards. Oh, I have to break them now. not your typical oracle here in the sense that, at least from Hay House, because there's no guidebook, but you don't need one. This deck, actually, this is a reprint. There's an older version of this deck, but I preferred this version. Here's security, and then it has a message for you on the back. I'm pretty sure I did a flip through or unboxing, so you can check that out. I'll put a link in the description box. Patience, growth, change. So sweet. The colors are so soothing. Success. And they talk well with one another. And sometimes you could just have this on your reading table as a closing message for your client, you know? So it can pick you up as well as pick your clients up with one little word. And if you need some additional guidance to share, you have this. It says, move. A long walk is good for the soul. Get outside and allow Mother Nature to lift your spirits. So yeah, I like this one, Chris. So that's 2 for one position. Don't judge me. I couldn't pick because I use them a lot together. That's the Sacred Self-Care Oracle and the Self-Care Wisdom cards. Okay, number 8 is the Energy Oracle cards by Sandra Ann Taylor, another Hay House deck. And I am such a fan of this deck, and I've been for a very long time. I don't even know if I have an unboxing of it because I think I got it when I first started really getting into reading with the cards. So that was probably pre-channel for sure. And I don't think I have an unboxing, but that's okay. I can chit chat with you about it here. Here's the card backs. It's glossy. Don't mind it. It's held up for years, and I really enjoy it very much, very much. You can see tons of unboxings or walkthroughs or flip-throughs of this deck because it's been around a good long while, and people really enjoy this deck. And it still to this day is a very popular deck. And it's one that I recommend to people when they are getting started with reading cards or reading oracle decks or wanting to marry oracle with the tarot. It talks very well with tarot decks too. So I really love this deck. I had to include it. And I also want to mention that it has a great guidebook here, the Energy Oracle Cards Guidebook. It has an upright, reverse meanings, affirmation, the key phrase, and then like a little subtext here. It's just a really great guidebook, and I'm sure it's got spreads and things of that nature because that's how Hay House rolls. I do also want to mention about Sandra Ann Taylor's other deck that I have. I know she has quite a few now out, but these are the 2 that are my favorites that I ultimately have of her creations in my collection. I may check out some of her other newer decks, but sometimes I'm just like, when I have a good run with some of the creators' older work, I don't want to mess that up by getting, you know, their latest decks. Some people would think, oh no, their latest decks are the greatest decks. Well, you know, not saying anything about her, this creator. I'm not saying anything at all, but I've seen there being occurrences where certain creators, including at Hay House, they crank out a lot of decks, and over time it starts to lose the creator starts to lose their little mojo, and the decks for me fall flat. It's their older work, but she's a great creator, Sandra Ann Taylor, so I have no doubt about her new decks. That's the whole collector thing in me. That's probably nothing to do with any of these creators who I'm thinking about. So here's the card backs, not the glossy stock, but yeah, and I will link both of the, or I think I only have a video of this deck, to be honest. I think it's got another chunky guidebook, and that's why I'm like, oh my goodness. So she has the upright reverse meanings in here, very similar style to the Energy Oracle, except it has like suits, if you will. It's great. This is a great deck. So there you have it, folks. That is my lovely Energy Oracle cards for position number 8. We're at number 7, and number 7 is the Lantern Oracle. This is a Blue Angel Oracle, okay, by Angelina Miravito, PhD, illustrated by Yuli Alejo. Yeah, this is gorgeous. This is gorgeous. It's got a great guidebook. It's a whole mood, this deck, to be honest, and I'm here for it. I really am. It's one of my favorite decks made by Blue Angel. So here's the card backs. I've done an unboxing, I'm sure, of this deck, and so I'll link that in the description so you can check that out. Not all of my decks, I realized, have unboxings or flip throughs on them, so yeah, many of them do though. Presence of Absence. When I get new Oracle decks, I'm always looking for keywords that are just as evocative, if not more, than the artwork itself. I'm a word person, so it's kind of important to me. Wisdom in play. Our intuition knows more than we do. Inner life. Your inner life is a garden to be cultivated. I'll just show you a couple more. The unknown. Let me see. There's a lot of striking cards in here. Weeping Wound. Yeah, it's quite special. Emotional energy. Confusion. Wow, broken dreams, distorted desire. I mean, the keywords are giving me everything. So check out the full flip through if you like to see more on this deck. I did use it a lot. I did on occasion use it for a couple of client readings, but it was primarily used for readings for myself, to journal and to deep dive into the cards, the images, the words, what's in the guidebook. And it really helped me a lot. So had to mention it. It's number 7. So we're here for number 6. Number 6 is the Archetype cards by Carolyn Miss, another Hay House deck. And yeah, I love working with this deck. It does come with a guidebook and some extra cards. I don't use the extra cards. I don't really use the guidebook, but it's there and helpful, you know, because it goes into further light attributes and shadow attributes to each of the cards. There's the shadow, or yeah, you've got the shadow. You don't have to reverse it, but there's the shadow attributes, the light attributes on each of the cards. I do use this deck in love readings and relationship readings, not just love relationships. It could be family relationships, co-workers, boss and employee. It could be all sorts of relationships. And we're looking at the archetypal energies of each of the parties involved and what's their dominating archetype right now and how to work with it, right? I also used this deck in an exercise I used with the Light Seers Tarot study we did earlier this year in 2022 as part of the Abundant Life Tarot group on Facebook. And I just studied up on the courts of the Light Seers Tarot. That was the video series we did here on the channel to support that tarot study. And I used this deck in like 6 videos. So I will try to remember to link both the the flip through of this deck as well as the playlist of where I really used it a lot with the court cards activities. It was great. It was like I went through and intentionally found archetypal energies for, say, the Queen of Cups, for example. And it really helps you to get familiar with those archetypal energies that the quartz bring to the reading table. So there's a multitude of ways to work with this deck, and some people either really love it or they're not a fan. I'm in the camp that I really love this deck. That's number 6. At number 5 on my list, and that is Chrisanne Donnelly's The Sacred Creators Oracle. This is the Hay House version. I do also own the first edition indie version of this deck, but I use this one all the time because I kind of baby the first edition. I just find it easier to shuffle, easier to use. I mean, this is the cardstock Hay House. I always have to say this whenever I discuss this deck or the Lightseers Tarot. This is the stock that needs to be on any future printings of the Lightseers Tarot. Whatever that cardboard that you all are using on the Lightseers Tarot, please don't. Just use this stock. This is better. So I love almost everything that Chrisanne Donnelly comes out with. I'm such a fan of her as a human being and her as a creator. And this deck is just so freaking special and inspirational for those who are creating something, maybe some decks or a metaphysical tool or a business or a spiritual business or doing readings or going on some other quest. Whether you're doing this professionally or personally, this deck can speak to all of those things. It is the Sacred Creator Oracle. And sometimes, again, I just need great words, a great guidebook to work with, and I can handle the rest as a reader. I don't need always a bunch of art. Sometimes less is more. And that's the case with this deck. One step ahead is all you need, and then you have the great little guidebook. I'll just show you. I'm not going to flip through it, but you can watch. I'm sure I did a video. I'm like 70% positive I did a video on this deck, a flip through. So if I did, I'll link it in the description box below. That is the Sacred Creators Oracle. And I do want to also mention that oftentimes I'll pull a couple of cards, 1 to 3 cards from myself each week, and put them on my reading table where I can see them and meditate on them and remember them. So this is a powerful little deck. Don't sleep on this one. Don't sleep on this one. So we're at number 4. Number 4 is Intuitive Life Coaching Oracle by Kelly T. Smith. And it is published by Beyond Worlds. It's a thick, chunky deck. It has a lot of cards in it. There's 77 cards, and it has a 208-page guidebook. I believe I have done a deck flip through of like a video recording of me exploring this deck further. So I'll link it if I have it. Look at this amazing guidebook. And look, automatic negative thoughts. It's got an intuitive life coaching questions section, and it's really on point. In fact, on one corner, I have usually the Sacred Creators Oracle cards, 1 to 3 of them. And on this corner over here, I have some cards that I keep on the table about once every week or two. And I just work with the energies. I sit with them. I look at the keywords. If something not so fun or favorable comes out, I sit with them. Because the messages in the guidebook really go into depth and show you the light attributes and the shadow attributes. And you don't have to get so hung up on, okay, God, this is a sucky card. Let's see. We have old habits, approval, let's see, surrender, angel numbers, pay attention to angel numbers. We have unwavering faith. Let's see, we have the void. I love this like tapestry art style. I mean, it looks textured. They are large, and you could probably trim some of the deck if you wanted to and not really mess up, the text or the card backs, but I just chose not to. Reconciliation. Yeah, I'm not gonna to show shadow cards too. I'm not gonna go through all of these cards, but just to give you kind of a pulse of what the cards have in this deck. Yeah, this is not one I usually work with clients. This is usually just a deck for me, and I consider myself a reader, but in that reading practice I have for professional readings, it's also a coaching element to it. And so this really helps me to tap into the coach to help others as well as to help myself. That's the Intuitive Life Coaching Oracle. So next up we have the African Goddess Rising Oracle, a 44 card deck and guidebook by Abiola Abrams. Hay House, of course, but it's an amazing little deck. It does have a great little guidebook here in similar Hay House fashion. I know I've done videos with this deck, so definitely check them out for a full flip through. Sorry for the glare, but I use this deck mostly for readings for myself. They too sometimes will rotate on my table for inspiration for me as the reader, not so much for others. Now, for maybe my members who join my Poised to Lead Ko-fi membership, they may get readings with this deck, but it's something that I kind of keep close to me and those that I feel called to in my inner circle to do readings for. It's just not one that I necessarily feel like I need to do readings with clients just yet. That could change though. That really could change. I just have certain purposes for my decks, and I just was called to not use it in the client readings, but more so for readings for myself and readings for those in my inner circle. A gorgeous deck. I'm happy to have it in my collection. I really am. The colors are just so beautiful, and I'm really happy that Hay House came out with it. I'm curious to see what else Hay House will come out with in terms of melanated decks and decks with a lot of diversity. They have really been making strides and trying to be more inclusive, and I see it and I recognize it. Thank you. So that's the African Goddess Rising Oracle. Let me know what you think about this deck. Is it on your list of top 10 mass market oracles? Let me know in the comment section below. So this one may surprise you. It kind of snuck up on me in the last year and a half or so and became one of my top ones. And I can't believe it because it literally almost got sold a couple of times way back when I had it initially, because I wasn't sure how to work with it. And that deck is in the number 2 position. It is the Dark Mirror Oracle cards by Laura Sava. It is a Los Scarabeo Oracle deck, kind of rare for me. I know they make them, but I'm very picky, and sometimes I'm not always impressed with the Oracle decks they come out with. But this one, this one surprised me. It really did. Every time I do readings with it, it just blows me away. The guidebook is quite amazing, actually. It even has the moon phase of this card. It has all sorts of detail here. And yeah, I'm impressed with it. It's numbered, and that's helpful for your guidebook. But yeah, I wasn't sure. I'm gonna be honest. When I first got this several years ago, I was like, I don't know. I thought I was really feeling the darkness of it, or like what the mess, like parasite. I mean, that's such a great keyword, but it just wasn't a time for me yet to work with this deck. And then I started doing my Mystery Mystic series, and I was like, this is where you belong. I would do readings for myself every now and then, and it would be like relegated to like Halloween time each year. But I was like, it was in the box of you're about to be sold before I go live abroad and not travel with it. And something told me, no, don't get rid of that one. I got rid of a bunch of decks, but I didn't get rid of this one. And I am so happy that I kept it. Artificial Heart. I really am. It snuck up on me. Fragmentation. Do you have those decks that snuck up on you? You really was about to sell that bad boy, and then all of a sudden you figure out a reading to work with the deck, and now it all clicks and makes sense and feels good. And I don't know. I just blown away by it. So yeah, this is mass market, and it really is good. You know what I didn't like about it at first, but now I appreciate it, is this 1980s mirrored look, like in the frames of the artwork. I hated it at first, but then it grew on me too. Perchance to dream. Some of the keywords and the images, you may have to consult the guidebook, but that's okay. And oftentimes you're going to find something in that guidebook that speaks to your situation or what you're reading on in a way that just kind of like blows your mind, like, and opens up the meaning into a whole new like corridor in your mind. It's really, really something else. Let me know what you think about this deck in the comment section below. Okay. We are now at number 1. My number 1 used like mass market oracle deck of 2022. That deck is the Power of Surrender cards. Oh my gosh, you all. This deck, time and time again, makes the list. I'm pretty sure every year, every single year. It would be weird if I didn't have this deck as my number 1. I have to tell you, like, I wouldn't be my authentic self. I would be on this channel trying to tell you about decks if I didn't mention this one. It is my favorite, my absolute favorite. It's Hay House. It is Judith Orloff, MD, Dr. Judith Orloff, who has created this deck, and it's so unassuming. You always can catch it on sale on Hay House, for example, like for really inexpensive prices. And you wouldn't even think like much of it. There's no guidebook, but you don't need that. It's just this box and this little thing here. But I read with this for clients all the time. And I also pull cards for myself. Like, it is that well-rounded, all-rounder deck that is not to be missed. I don't know of anyone who really can't stand it. If anything, a lot of people talk about how much they love it. My son loves it. I gave it to my oldest. Surrender outdated beliefs about yourself. Surrender to creativity. I like to pull 1 to 3 cards for clients at the end of the reading, like a closing little message with it. And it always speaks to what else the reading was talking about earlier and gives some additional like layers of easy understanding, like surrender procrastination. Now is the time to jump on a goal instead of putting it off. Taking action will attract success. And yeah, it looks unassuming enough, but it really picks up on things that are just spot on in a reading. Surrender stubbornness. It will call you out, but in a very gentle way. Surrender your belief in scarcity. Surrender comparisons with other people. I know I did a deck in focus because this is one of those decks I owned a long time. And I don't think I did like an official unboxing of it when I first got it, because I think I got it before I started the channel. Surrender worry. So all I could make was a deck in focus for it. But I expressed deeply in that video why I love this deck so much. Surrender to setting limits. It is healthy to set boundaries in relationships. Practice expressing your needs and remember that, quote, no, unquote, is a complete sentence. Let's see. I want to show you some. Surrender your fear of change. This comes up a lot in client readings. Surrender defensiveness is another one that comes up a lot. Surrender to complete healing. Surrender obsessive thinking. I love that one. Surrender frustration. I use it so much. I can just, in my planner, write it in the planner that I'm using this deck all month long. I will. Some people probably think I have all these fancy oracle decks like that are just like out of this world. And I do have some really nice collector item decks for sure. But we're talking about decks that I need to use on the daily. And if it's not these, then I'm probably using the decks that I made for myself, for my use on MakePlayingCards.com. So I make my own oracle decks that fit a niche in my reading practice. And so I'm using those for professional readings, and then these that I mentioned to you. And these are also the decks I use for personal readings for myself. All of the decks I mentioned. They also could double as a reader for myself too. Surrender unhealthy relationships. Surrender your desire to control people. See, it tells on you. It really does. So there you have it, my peeps. What do you think of my list for 2022? I'm curious to hear from you. Any of the decks that I featured here today, have they been in your rotation of decks you've been using, whether it's for 2022 or in the past? Also, what decks did you love on? What top 10 mass market oracle decks were you feeling and working with on a consistent basis? I want to hear from you. Let me know. Please, on your way out, don't forget to hit the like button. I've got more of these top 10s coming your way. They'll be sprinkled throughout the rest of December. And also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. I mean, what are you doing? You haven't subscribed yet? Just click the subscribe button. So, take good care of yourselves. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.